and a slam jam.
Cool, man. What's up?
Hi. Yeah. Pretty fine.
So what's the deal, man? Why are you here?
So-
what's your MMR?
Yeah, I've played usually position 4 and 5. I'm on my main account. I'm like 3.9k MMR, and I play with friends a lot. And they want me to play carry mainly because I was the highest ranked player of those, and they wanted me to play the carry. And I went on my second account, my test account, and I ranked it, or I did the ranking games, and it ranked me at 2.9k, and now I dropped down to 2.3. So I'm doing something fundamentally wrong when playing carry versus playing support. And I
So
don't know
you're
what.
a 3.9k support player and a 2.3k carry player.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. It's kind of funny because when I started playing, I had friends that introduced me to the game that had all been playing a decent amount of time. So at the start, whenever I played with them, I was, Lich or Silencer support. And then over time, I became the highest ranked player on the team, and I was always mid after that. So it's kind of funny how somebody in chat said that that's like relatable, your story. And I just think it's funny how I think at some point, a lot of people who play party queue with their friends have gone through something similar. So
Playing sup.
yeah, starting as sup and then becoming highest rank and playing core. Okay, so it looks like you have a few questions listed out. Did you want to ask about them now, or are they kind of a reminder for yourself to ask me during this session?
I think I could ask some of them already now because they aren't that common. For example, in one game lately, I ran into a mango tree in the enemy jungle, and I was like, I didn't know if I should cut it down because, I mean, it's a deadline. It's basically our jungle at that point, or if I should destroy it because they knew it was there.
If they have a mango tree, it's a vision, so you kill it 100%.
Okay. Oh, okay. Didn't know about that.
Yeah, the mango tree gives like 800 vision, I think. 800 radius vision. So it's like, pseudo ward. So that's definitely worth killing. I wasn't sure about what that question meant when you listed it.
I didn't know about that. Okay.
Yeah, so definitely always kill it. What else? Any of these other questions you want to ask right now?
The small items, I think, is something general as well, because when you're laning and you're, let's say, a drow, and you want to buy 2 or 3 wave bands, and you have the small items, and the courier takes about 90 seconds going back and forth.
Yeah,
and in that time, you get like 2 or 3 more items. So should you send it every time you have items, or wait for something is being finished, or how should the courier be managed when you actually get the farm in the early?
An example would be like in a lane that I'm kind of winning, where I'm getting like pretty much every CS. Say I like complete a Wraith Band and I have like 150 gold. I'm just gonna like wait till I get another Wraith Band and then fly them out together, because I can just go from having 0 completed Wraith Bands to 2 and have this like huge power spike that wasn't immediately needed right now. I think the answer to your question is like, how much farm am I getting? So that means how fast am I getting gold? And then how immediate do I need these items? Like, is my lane really hard?
Okay.
Is my lane really easy? And like the harder it is, the more urgent you should be about giving yourself items. Because technically, just waiting with the courier at base until you have more items, would you say that's greedy?
Yeah, it's kind of greedy because
right?
You want every small advantage.
Yeah, it is greedy. So it's just another version where people come to my coaching sessions asking me about something where my answer to you is, this option is greedier. Greedy almost always implies that it's better in an ideal scenario. Like, meaning if you can get away with it, it's better. So that's how I would answer that question. Are there any other questions of these that you want to ask before we start?
No.
Okay, cool. Do you have a replay in mind? Sweet.
This is a game I played Juggernaut. The Winter Wyvern was played by my brother.
Okay.
So he's a lot lower ranked, but still.
I'm just going to ask you real quick. We're kind of at the end of a meta, I hope. What I mean by end of a meta is that, I hope Valve's going to patch this fucking game. But maybe they won't.
Yeah.
My question is, since you've been playing carry, what are your favorite heroes? Like, what have you been playing?
So I really like I don't know what you would call them, hyper carries, the carries which piss off into the jungle at some point and get their shit together.
Okay.
So I don't like the Slark, or I don't like the Ember Spirit, but I like Spectre, Anti-Mage kinda, Juggernaut, Phantom Lancer, Luna.
Okay. Looks like you gave me a Luna game, and this is
Oh,
from.
this is not the one with my
Yeah, make
brother,
sure
but
it's
we
within the
we
last
love
week,
this one.
sir. I apologize. We'll have to go through some extra heaps and bounds if it's not. It's the 14th of June right now, so ideally it would be on the
Huh?
7th or later. If
Um,
not, I have to go through. I can get it. It'll just take longer.
okay. The other one, it says 7 days ago. I don't know.
Okay, let's check it out. It'll be close. So go ahead and send me the other one. Okay. If we're gonna eventually go over that Luna replay, I may need to do some tech shooting shit. Let's see if this one's gonna obviously be on the fence. Okay, cool, nice. Works out. So, what I was gonna say is that, especially honestly, it's for every player. I've recommended this. I'll say it every coaching session that I feel the need to. I think every patch you should learn one new hero in whatever role you're playing. Like bare minimum one. If you feel like going crazy and learning two or three, so be it. Do you know much about like high level Dota right now? Like, do you know what heroes are getting picked in the carry role?
Yeah, usually more aggressive ones.
Like what?
So specifically Lycan, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
Lycan.
is it still Ember? I'm not sure about that meta.
Not really. It can
Luna
always
a
be
lot,
the
I
hero
think.
that fits your playstyle more. Meaning, it sounds like you'd rather be a farmer.
Yeah.
So I do want people to have like. First off, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I want people to have like a decently balanced playstyle. Not in the sense that I want you to play non-farming heroes, but I am going to make sure that you play farming heroes aggressively. You know, like the way that they're supposed to be played. Obviously, a farming hero on average will play less aggressive than an Ember, but they still have times where they're supposed to play aggressive. I would say the highlight hero that I realized recently is Ursa with a Battle Fury.
Yeah.
I've basically come to the conclusion now that Ursa is a better Jugg, a better Troll, a better Anti-Mage. Any other hero that would viably buy a Battle Fury, Ursa's just better. Like, that's pretty much all there really is to it right now. Obviously, that might get nerfed, but I was just bringing that to your attention. I'm perfectly capable, and we can learn plenty from watching you play Jugg. It's just like every meta, I realized, like, yeah, I'm a big Ursa player, so but I hadn't played Ursa in a long time, and they've reworked him a lot since the last time I played him, because I was playing 3 a lot. And, I just played like 2 or 3 games of Ursa. I'm like, holy shit, this hero's broken. Like what? So it just makes it easier to play. Is really all I'm saying. Is like if you're learning a new hero, you can learn a lot even if you're not playing optimally. Like I played in the off lane, and I'm like, wow, Beastmaster's a meta hero. I've never played him before. Let's check him out, and it's like really easy to win games. So all I'm saying is consider playing like one new hero every patch. But if your hero pool right now is Jugg, Luna, Phantom Lancer, that's fine. Like those heroes are you're not gonna be 2K because of those heroes. So this is the beauty of playing one position. I have this happen in my games. I can tell you that this will happen to me once every 100 games. Like, I've actually gotten way better at it.
Contesting the rune.
What I mean by happens to me is that I will walk in and just die. So every time I am offlane, or I'm carry, this applies to every lane, but we're just going to approach it from your role. I think to myself, who am I laning against? Do we have any kill potential? And do those heroes potentially kill me? So the heroes that you really want to punish at the rune in the offlane are ones like Enigma. Ones without stuns, maybe like Underlord. If they have like a 4 Pudge, or, a DK off lane, or, you know, I'm just Timbersaw off lane. Like, Timbersaw off lane level 1 does pretty much nothing. Night Stalker off lane. You know, these are heroes that if I run into them at the rune, they're not really going to do much. On the other hand, you have heroes like Mars with a slow and or stun, and Snapfire with a slow and or stun, and then you also have to consider the possibility that the mid laner is going to show up. So I've noticed that if you're like 4K or lower, people kind of just default run into the rune. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's coming pretty hilarious to me, where I just watch carry players 4K or lower. It's about where I draw the line. That they just, I've seen 5K players do it, but like I'm saying, like every game, 4K players or lower, they just autopilot walk up to the rune and say, this is my rune, and I'm gonna use whatever spell I have, and I'm gonna get it, and then they die, you know, 20% of the time or whatever. The point is in Dota that you want to start thinking about every decision that I give you, and the goal I have as a coach is that I tell you to ask yourself these questions, and your ability to apply them to yourself past the session. You know, like after you take this coaching session, I'm not here anymore, you're learning on your own. I expect you to consciously think about exactly who you're going to run into at the rune, how it's going to go when you run into them, and is that good or bad for you? And if you think about it, you still do it, and you die, you're going to learn a lot. Meaning, like, you consciously thought this was how it was going to go, and then you died. I guarantee you...
I wasn't expecting 3 heroes suddenly to appear.
What I'm telling you is that part of that is included is expecting either the 5 position to be there. Like, sometimes the 5 will just come to the rune, and sometimes the mid laner will come to the rune. Like... I've seen 4 people at this room before. Like, that's obviously even more rare than 3. But I would say in my games, at least 30 to 40% of them have 3 heroes at this room. Like, a pretty large percentage. So, like, when I say large, I mean that if I weren't accounting for it, it would screw me over a lot. So, all I'm telling you is, this is nothing more than you just not thinking. Like, this mistake right here. And these are the ones that I'm trying to get out of your system when you're getting better at Dota and you're trying to climb MMR. Because as a carry, the crucial skill that it takes to be a good carry player, in my opinion, is to play fundamentally sound. Meaning, like, if there's a risky situation, you take the calculated choice. Like, is it worth the risk or is it not? It's like, there's lanes where I'm thinking, maybe I can go for this rune. Like, maybe I can take it. But it's just not worth it to me to risk. Like, if it's even close, I just won't go. Like, if I know it's close one way or the other who's going to win at the rune, and me losing at the rune means either dying or taking, like, 500 damage, then I just can't do it. Like, I'm just not going to go. So, as a carry, in the laning stage, it's kind of your job to not fuck up the first, like, 3 levels. Like, that's kind of your job. Like, a lot of carries, if they're going to win or lose the lane, it's decided how they play at the rune, and how they play, like, the first couple creep waves. And giving the opponent first blood, it's not very much XP, but it's just, like, a huge bolster of gold where they have this, like, extra, you know, Windlay salve or, you know, full buckler, whatever they end up buying with it, that ends up just making it
Thanks and have fun.
that much harder of a lane for you. So I know I went on to a long spiel there, but I really do emphasize that this needs to be very well thought out every single game. And so these decisions I'm going to give you, work on them one at a time. You know, maybe have a sticky note of chronological order. So the first one is, you know, buy my starting items and immediately think, who am I laning against and who could be at this rune? And guess what? If you're thinking who could be at this rune, you'll be looking at your mini-map. You'll be like, do I see the enemy 5 position? Do I know where they are? Like, do I see this Lich? If I don't see the Lich, what do I have to be like? If I don't see Lich, what do I have to assume?
That he's top.
How can you assume he's top? Does it matter to you if he's top?
Oh, no. He's just not visible. He's potentially there.
So he's potentially where I am. That's where I have to assume. What I mean by assume is, like, whatever decision I make has to be based on the fact that he could be there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, whenever I don't have information, I have to think based on what information I'm lacking. Whatever hero that is, I have to assume they're in the worst possible scenario for me. You know, like,
In this case, Lich would be at your rune. In this case, Queen of Pain's at your rune. You know, like, I have to assume they're there and be ready for it. And if you're not ready for it, I do this sometimes too, where I'll Pepega, where if I'm not ready for it, these are the moments where you just randomly feed because you weren't ready for them to be there and they were there and then you just died. And it's like, this applies at 10 minutes into the game. This applies 20 minutes into the game. Like, this applies at all stages of the game. So I use this a lot in my coaching sessions, but if you can't do it at the 0-minute rune, you can't do it at 20 minutes. Like, that's just how I look at it. So all I'm saying is you can have a chronological little sticky note at the top of your screen where you're like, okay, think about who's at the rune. And it's like, then after you get the rune as you're walking back to lane, I'll give you another sticky note, you know? And you can think about that next. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself, but the goal of this session also, since you did pay a decent chunk of money, is that you can have things to work on for a month or two plus, you know? Like, these can be things you take slow, where, you know, you just say...
I usually don't add the rune. It was, I don't know what happened, I was caught by surprise.
Well, usually what I'm saying is, as a carry to gain MMR, that kind of shit just needs to never happen. Like, it just needs to never happen. I'm telling you, it's only going to punish you 10 to 20% of the time. But if you make that mistake 10 times, like, meaning mistakes like that one, you're going to die 1 time extra a game. You're going to die 2 times extra a game. And that's the kind of deaths that just lose you the game as a carry. So, I'm just saying, I'm not calling you terrible and saying you always die at the rune. But the message that you dying at the rune is unacceptable is what reigns true here. Okay. So, how often would you say you utilize creep aggro?
Pretty often.
I'm gonna rewind then.
I didn't see the reason here because the Wyvern has pulled and I felt fairly comfortable. So I didn't want to pull, at the beginning I didn't want to pull aggro into the tower.
Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, here's a perfect example of when you use creep aggro. Okay, let's see right here.
Okay.
Right here. When this creep's gonna die, who's gonna go for it? Like you and Mars, right?
Yeah.
So how could creep aggro be useful to you right now? What if you aggro the Mars and pull this creep downward?
Yeah, he's gonna come to, so it's closer to me and I need to not get out of position.
Yeah, and you said you don't want to drag it into tower, so like if we, play it at quarter speed and we see tower range, we would just drag this creep this way. Right? So in this case, creep aggro is a perfect example where this can't happen from Mars. What he did there, like what if that range creep variance damage did like 1 more damage? You don't get that last hit. Right? Because... I will tell people there's a bajillion reasons to use creep aggro, and if I don't see you using it, you're just missing them. Like, very few lanes are there no reasons to use creep aggro. So that's one. That's just a simple, like, he's going for the deny, I'm going for the CS, pull it away from him as the creep's getting low. That's like a very...
but question, if I use creep aggro, it means my creeps attack theirs more than they attack mine. So
yeah, but nothing matters more than getting CS. Like, just nothing matters.
Okay, but won't I be out of position in like 2 or 3 waves?
Okay, so... I don't really know how to ask this in the form of a question, so I'll just tell you. Creeps are really strong when heroes are level 1. Like, when heroes are level 5, creeps aren't that scary anymore. Do you understand, like, how that would be the case? Because, like, creeps don't get any better, heroes get stronger and stronger. So early levels, it's actually really bad for the opponent to allow you to double up the wave and just push it into them. Because if you do that, you'll be level 2, they'll be level 1, and they have to fight through 5 creeps to stop your pull. Like, what are they going to do about it? How are they ever going to stop a pull? Like, if you're a level 2 Jugg, both of them are level 1, and you have 5 creeps and they have 0. Like, they can't stop the pull. And if you see this Snapfire walking over to stop the pull and you're level 2, what are you going to do?
Oof. Sorry?
So your Wyvern's pulling, your Snapfire's walking over to contest it, you're level 2, she's level 1. What are you going to do to Snapfire?
Well, possibly spin or at least hit her.
I would tell my Wyvern, hey, guy's coming over, push Q on him and kill him. Like, that guy's just going to die because you have a slow and a spin, right? So it's like, he can't contest, is what I'm telling you. So this is something where I want you to think about the lane is, like, in my bracket, it's really important to not allow the opponent to kill all the creeps and have all mine be alive. It's actually really bad. Or, sorry, kill all of my creeps and have all of his be alive. Like, because whoever gets level 2 is, like, a huge power spike, usually. Like, whoever gets level 2 first is huge. On Jugg, it's not as important. I honestly think that's one of the reasons why he's not a premier carry. But, like, if you think about, like, Ursa's power spike level 2, even Luna's level 2 power spike, you know, all these heroes get, like, way better level 2. Jugg kind of just gets a crit. But, so it's like, point being is that everything you do in the lane, lane equilibrium comes last. I have told people and given them lectures on lane equilibrium because it's similar to the wand epidemic that I had, where it's not wrong to worry about lane equilibrium. It's not wrong to like buy a wand, but sometimes there are just things that are way more important. Like sometimes, like I don't give a shit about your lane equilibrium if you're missing 2 or 3 creeps to maintain it. Like, that's terrible. Like, I don't want that ever. I want you to do every single little thing you can do to get every single creep you can. Like, that's what your goal is here. If there's, like, no opponent contesting you where your support's, like, completely zoning him and it's, like, a solo offlaner for whatever reason, by all means, your first priority should be lane equilibrium because none of the other shit applies. There's no opponent there. But right here, you're telling me I don't want to do this because I'm worried about lane equilibrium. And that's just, like, 4th on the priority list over, like, getting CS, harassing, maintaining your own health, and then lane equilibrium. You know, it's like, in this case, when it comes to, like, creep aggro, same thing on this creep. Same thing there. That wouldn't get denied if you dragged it to yourself. You can do the same thing on that one.
So basically, when a creep is near last hit range,
it's usually around maybe 25% health that the creep's at. It's the only varying factor is how many creeps are hitting it. So if you actually have like 4 creeps that are hitting it, maybe you could do it when it's like 40% health. You know, maybe do it a bit earlier. What I like to do is I like to drag it where by the time it gets to me, it'll be 2 hits away from dying. Especially on heroes like Jugg. This is a mechanic that you can abuse on heroes like Jugg, Anti-Mage, Lifestealer. What all these heroes have in common is they have really low base attack times or really high base attack speed. So what that means is they attack twice very fast. So like if I drag the creep such that it's towards me, and by the time it gets to me, it's 2 hits away, what that allows me to do is if the opponent goes for a deny, I can just hit them. Because,
the opponent.
Yeah, I can hit the opponent, yes. Because they're on top of my creeps right now. Like, say I drag this creep to here, and the guy goes for the deny. If I hit him and he hits me back, what happens?
Yeah.
He's tanking 4 creeps, right? Like, he's going to be getting hit.
He's tanking the creeps, and his creeps are too far away to actually hit me.
And if he backs off, I can actually hit the creep twice before he gets back. So it's like, if I love creating these scenarios as Jugg and other fast attacking heroes where that creep's going to die in 2 hits. If the guy walks away, I just hit it twice really quick. If the guy comes towards it, I hit him and potentially spin, you know, like maybe if he's low enough or whatever. The point is, though, that creep aggro on low health creeps definitely applies. Like, you can just watch, you know, my laning stage now. You know, watch any of my games. I do this all the time. I do this probably 15 times a laning stage, you know. So now that it's been brought to your attention, if you're looking for it, it'll be much easier for you to see it. So let's go ahead and... Also against Mars, I want the creeps to be away from the trees. Like, anytime I walk up for a CS, I don't want to be, like, right here. I want to be where if he were to spear me at all, or even W me, I want to be far back. But if he were to spear me at all, I want to be in the middle of the creep wave because I want his spear to just push me back, not spear me to a tree. So a lot of times, very small, very specific matchup, if I'm walking up for a creep that's right here, I'll Quelling Blade this tree right here. Like, so if he spears me, I don't get speared to this tree. I know it seems very small, but I'm just pointing out, like, very advanced, like, very small things to think about that, like, the reason why I'm doing this to you is because when I asked you why you weren't using creep aggro and you said I didn't see a reason to, I'm using my explanation right now as, holy shit, there's, like, always a reason to do something in lane. You just have to see it, you know? So that's to clarify to you and everyone else why I'm, like, giving all these very niche examples. If it doesn't feel like there's anything to do, usually it's because you just don't know what that is, not because there isn't something to do. Dota is the game that is always something to do. So, okay, so you do drag creep aggro there, so you do know about it. I'll just show you, same thing here. Right after you drag, you should drag these again. Like, A-click them here, drag them again, so that the Snapfire can't do this. See that? Okay. Okay. A little thing you can do when creeps are running into your tower. Why did you not walk up and CS this range creep? Let me ask you that.
Because the whole creep wave was coming.
Okay, why does that matter?
Well, the mask could just go on me. I have no defense.
Okay.
I have no
yeah, absolutely. So
him.
you're correct there. Like, you're absolutely correct, okay? So,
okay.
I'm just asking you why you didn't to make sure we're on the same page. So, right here, you should stop right here. Let this range creep attack you. What does that do? It lets this melee creep run in front of it.
Yes.
So then the range creep's not going to tank tower first.
And that's a problem. Why?
Because you're missing the fucking range creep.
Okay.
What do you mean why is it a problem? You're literally missing the range creep because you feel scared to walk up to it. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
It's just funny that you asked why that's a problem. That was funny to me. No, do you see what I'm telling you to do though? If you make this range creep stop to attack you outside of tower range, like right where right when the range creep hits like right here, just stop like right here, right where you are right now. Just stop for a second. You're not gonna die to Mars. He's right here, right? Just stop right here. Let this range creep attack you. This melee creep will run in front, and then you're not gonna deal with the problem you just faced right here, where you don't want to walk back up to that range creep. Ideally, usually you don't want that range creep to die first when the lane's pushing into your tower like this. So just a small little trick I actually noticed relatively recently that can help a lot. Something to think about. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so, Wyvern died, whatever.
Yeah, no deny before last hit.
I
caught myself there. I was like, damn.
Okay, so here's how long have you been playing carry? I'm actually fascinated.
A month?
Okay. Yeah, no, I assure you, when I came to this session, because you're a support player, I hunted I'm going to be blatant with you. I hope you don't mind. I knew for a fact your laning stage mechanics were going to be terrible. Like, I just knew they were, because whenever I have support players on my team playing core, it's, like, hilarious to watch their laning mechanics. What I actually want to tell you is, every laning mechanic that I'm talking to you about actually applies on supports, too. Like, every single one. It's just that because supports are pulling a lot, and they're not always in the lane, and they're not always CSing, it just doesn't apply to them as often. But man, when I started realizing like advanced lane mechanics from a core perspective, I became a way better support player. Like, you can abuse this shit as a support too. And so I'll talk about that if I ever see an example in this specific game. But let's talk about this. So What's the lane equilibrium? Okay, this is a question we ask ourselves every single time 2 creep waves meet. What's the lane equilibrium doing right now?
Statting. Oh, it's slightly pushing.
It's slightly pushing, right? So if the lane's slightly pushing, if the range creeps are underneath your tower, can you fix this at all?
No.
No. So what's the only thing you can do to like...
Push harder and then pull.
You have 2 choices. 1, shove the lane even harder and pull. Or 2, just try to mitigate the push as much as possible. And what I mean by that is every single time one of your creeps gets below half, you hit it.
Yeah.
That would at least mitigate it, right? It's not going to fix it, but it'll make it so that maybe by the time your wyvern's alive and pulling again, there's like 4 or 5 of your own creeps rather than 7. You know? So anywhere in between kind of makes no sense to me. Like, you're either pushing the lane really hard or you're trying to not let it push, which it's still going to push, but, you know, minimize it as much as possible. So that's my mindset. I've talked to a lot of people in these games, especially around the 2 to 3K bracket, where I'm like, okay, when this scenario arises, you have 2 choices. I don't even care which one you do, because after that we can talk about if it was better or not. I need you to do one of these 2 things, because anything else is like in between bad. You know, like it just could be more efficient one way or the other. So in this case, I see these 2 creep waves meeting, and your choice is to either just auto-attack this range creep and push the wave, or auto-attack this melee creep the second it gets half, right? Like those are your 2 choices. That's all you got. Any other choice makes no sense to me. And that's just like mental preparedness where it's like you waited a quarter of a second to go for that deny rather than hitting it the second it got below half. If you watch my games and a creep's like that, you'll literally see me pump faking to try to hit it the second it hits half. Like, I'm literally pump faking to hit it, like, because I'm A-clicking it over and over waiting for it to be half. So that the literal second it goes to half, like the millisecond it goes to half, I'm hitting it. Like, you can see that in my games if you watch it. I'm just telling you, like, how much this sense of urgency needs to be here on this kind of stuff. So, why did I talk specifically about lane equilibrium there over all the other mechanics that I told you about that mattered more than lane equilibrium? Remember how early on in the session you were worried about lane equilibrium?
Nobody was there.
Yeah, nobody was there, so there was nothing else to worry about. Exactly. Like, I'm actually, I'm happy you answered that one. Yeah, so it's like, I'm just being clear to everyone who he's like, BSJ told him not to worry about lane equilibrium, and now he's harping on his lane equilibrium. It's like, that's an example there. Okay, so, okay. You're gonna pull large. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit tough to pull that one.
Yeah, maybe I can interject the one question I had about the carry pulling. So with pulling on the radiant side, I think it's usually it works. I don't know if I pulled a little bit too early, I think, but usually I can make it work. What's the situation on the dire side? Because you can't just skip over there. It's way out of your path to pull the large camp there.
Yeah, I would say on Dire, for the most part, the only pull that you're ever doing from this camp is to pull it through here.
Yeah.
You can pull it this way. And it's just not as good, I think, as the Radiant side. So, simply put, it's an option that usually your support has to do. If I'm pulling as a carry on Dire, I'm usually pulling the small camp. Because of that. And I honestly just tell you that it's not a great option on Dire, so I just play the lane according to the fact that that's not a great option.
Okay.
That's really, like, meaning if on the Radiant, maybe sometimes I'll push the wave looking to pull this. I never think like that on Dire, because it doesn't really work that well. So... Yeah. You can pull it like this way, but it's really hard to protect usually. Like, they can kind of just see it from eons away, while on Radiant there's like these trees blocking it. So yeah, it's just way harder to pull off on Dire than it is on Radiant. There's not much else to say about that.
In what way does it alter the lane? If you're playing Radiant or Dire and you have this option? Should I just push
You
on
should always
Radiant
do it
and-
if the lane's out this far. Yeah, you should always do it on Radiant.
Okay.
Because this actually comes up in a decent amount of my carry coaching sessions. Where do you want this lane to be? Like, in terms of the
in
equilibrium?
front of my tower.
Yeah, and if it's not there, you have to recognize, first off, that is bad, right? It is not good. And then every matchup, you have to ask yourself, like, why that's not good, right? Like, meaning, do you take more damage? Are you at threat of dying? In this case, you're no longer a threat of killing them because your spin relies on chase distance, and you don't have that if it's near their tower. So I would say, like, they could potentially be more aggressive on you here because you're not a threat to them, right? Like, if I'm a Mars, I'm scared of you spinning me and killing me if the lane's right here. But I'm not scared of you spinning and killing me if the lane's back here. So my behavior in lane will be different because I'm not scared of you when the lane's here. That's an example that I would give there. And usually all of that results in it being worth it for you to go pull. Like always. As Dire, I will go pull the small camp if it's bad enough. Like, it's 350 and say your lane was like this. Certain lanes I can't really walk up at all. Like, it's just really hard. I'll literally, if I don't have a support doing it, I'll just walk over and pull this at 415. Like, I'll probably sit in XP range as long as I can. Like, I'll stand, like, right here till, like, 405 or something. And then walk over to pull it, is what I would do on Dire. Which obviously just isn't as good, but I think fixing lane equilibrium when it's this bad is, like, the most important thing. Because if you really think about all of your options as a carry when it comes to, like, aggression, creep aggro, all that kind of stuff, you realize all of your options are just 10 times worse when the lane's here compared to when it's here. Which should really signal to you, like, wow, I don't have any good options. I guess I gotta make it so that I do. You know, that's how I kind of approach it, so... It was really close to working. Yeah, that's not much to say there. Okay. So your Wyvern is pulling, and they can't really kill you as long as you don't overextend, so you're fine to do what you're doing right now. Okay. I was gonna say, you might want to keep it outside a tower. Which you do. Okay.
Arms for the dead.
What a bounty! Money changes hands.
Okay.
That
That's
was
a perfect...
unlucky.
It's unlucky, for sure. Do you know what you're supposed to do here, though?
Well, check the hit points.
No,
But
you can't
I
check
hit-
hit points on range creeps. It's too... They take 3 tower shots. You can't check. Do you know what you're supposed to do here?
Drop the Quelling Blade?
Yeah, that's the only option you have.
Okay.
You have to drop your quelling and hope you don't crit. And you have to hit them both, like, once. If you do that, you'll have an 80% chance to get the creep. If you do it your way, it's about 50-50. Obviously, you lost both 50-50s, but, like, you know, my way is 80%, your way is 50%. So,
Yeah.
that's really your only option.
Yeah, I was
range-
kind of mad
go
when I
ahead.
saw the first one dying to the tower shot, and I was like, okay. Next one I hit once, and then it died again. I was like,
Yeah, I saw
damn.
that. I saw it. This happens. Like, every time I don't drop my quelling here, I just get mad at myself for being lazy. I still do it sometimes, where I'm just like, God, I was just lazy again, you know? The point is, though, that range creeps have 300 health,
And the tower does
110
something
damage.
like 90 to 110 or something.
It's 110 damage average. But obviously there's damage variance. So after range creeps get hit twice, on average they'll have 80 health. So if your damage is anywhere around 80, which is 68 plus 18, which is 86, it's gonna fuck you randomly with RNG. Technically, you're not supposed to hit these creeps. Meaning, because you have 86 damage and the average is 86... because you have 86 damage, and on average the creep will have 80 health, you're not supposed to hit it. You know, you're supposed to let the tower hit it twice, and then you hit it. The only way that you can 100% get this creep or not is if you have 100 damage or more. Because the tower can minimum roll 100 and 100, right? So it would have 100 left.
Yeah.
So the only way that you can avoid this annoyance is to allow yourself to have more than 100 damage. There are times where I get really annoyed because I have like 94 damage and I let the tower hit it twice and I still miss the creep and I'm like, wow, how fucking unlucky am I? It had to be like 2 almost min rolls entirely. But the point is, like I said about carry, it's all about min-maxing, right? That's all it is. So just pointing it out, making sure you know, little tidbit there of math. First one you got unlucky, second one went away it should have, but you obviously played it differently, so. Okay. So, what do Wraith Bands do for you? In general?
In general, increase a little bit the attack damage, a little bit HP, and faster attack animation.
Okay. So, on average...
It helps farming. Well, and fighting. I don't know.
Okay. So, does Jugg need attack speed from Wraith Bands to have, like, nice attack speed?
Nope.
Does a hero like Luna or Ricky need attack speed from Wraith Bands to have nice attack speed?
Not really.
I think they do.
No.
Those heroes don't have very good base attack speed. And Ricky, on one hand, has, like, 1 agi growth. Like, literally 1.
I don't know Ricky that well.
Yeah, I know you didn't. I know he's not one of your heroes. Point is that this is important. On Jugg, Wraith Band is a luxury item. It just gives you more attack speed when you already have it. So, you can buy it. It's not saying to never buy Wraith Band. But you don't need it at all. Like, you don't need Wraith Bands on Jugg to attack fast enough. So, it's just a little bolster. So, when I say it's a little bolster, what I mean is that it allows you to trade with people better, right? It just lets you hit them more because you have 11 extra attack speed, 6 extra damage, a little bit of armor, a little bit of health. On the other hand, though, does it really speed up Jugg's farming that much? Like, what is Jugg's primary source of farming past the laning stage?
Jungle and spinning.
Spinning. Like, at the end of the day, he has spin. Okay? Like, yeah, he does right-click a pretty good amount, but he spins. So, my answer is, like, Jugg is similar to Slark. I'm going to pull up my Slark replay for you. I'm not going to, like, watch it. I just want to show you the game. Where is it at here? Okay, so, I was in lane against a Quap... Why can't I see these heroes? I was against a Quap Rubik. How often on Slark do you think I am hitting them?
Very rarely.
Let's look at my items. How many Wraith Bands were there?
0.
0, because I wasn't hitting them at all. Okay? So, when you're a hero that doesn't rely on Wraith Bands to farm, Slark and Jugg are perfect examples. Ursa's another example. Heroes that do rely on Wraith Bands to farm, Anti-Mage, Faceless Void, Troll, Terrorblade. Do you notice any difference between these heroes that I just mentioned other than Slark and Jugg?
Can I ask one question? Why does the Anti-Mage need the Wraith Band to farm? I mean, you usually do 1 hit only to get the last hit.
Well, my question is that what do these heroes all have in common that these two heroes don't? That Jugg and...
They have, like, no...
How do these heroes get farm?
Just by hitting.
Yeah, do these heroes only hit to get farm?
No.
No, right? So what I mean by they need this item to farm is, I mean, Wraith Band directly speeds up their farming drastically, because it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get Wraith Bands. What I'm saying is that a Wraith Band is a farming item on Troll, Terrorblade, Void, potentially Anti-Mage, Drow. All these heroes rely on hitting things purely in order to deal damage. On the other hand, when you look at, like, Weavers and Juggs and Slarks, what is Wraith Band? It's a trading item. That's what it is. Because you don't need it to farm. You just don't need it. Mm-hmm. So, it's a trading item. That's what it is. So, like, on my Slark game, in a lane where I'm not trading at all, I built 0 Wraith Bands. Because that 500 gold I spent couldn't possibly be worth the farm accelerant that it gives me, because on Slark, it doesn't really speed up my farming that much. Because my primary form of farming is Dark Pact. So, my only question to you would be, how many times in this lane have you hit the Mars?
I don't know, 3-4 times.
Yeah, so why are you buying 2 Wraith Bands? You're not even hitting the guy. I'm not telling you you should have hit the guy. I'm asking you why you're not hitting the guy and then buying an item that relies on hitting the guy. Do you see what I'm saying with, like, efficiency of items here? Like,
Yeah.
if you want to go 1 Wraith Band, like, I'm fine with that. I'm not telling you to not go any Wraith Bands. But a second Wraith Band is definitely a conscious choice to make that you're not going to utilize in this lane at all. Like, you're just not going to utilize it. I saw the second Wraith Band that you're purchasing. So it's like, my point here is that you talked about flying yourself small items. I want to talk about the items you buy. The point is, like, when I was flaming people for going Wand, a lot of those people were Wraith Kings. Like, Wraith King type heroes, like strength heroes. And it's like, I buy Wand on agility heroes all the time. You know, like this Ursa game, I went Wraith Band and Wand at the same time. Like, I went early Wand. Agility heroes benefit from all stats usually a lot more than strength heroes do. On this Lifestealer game, though, like, there's no Wand to be seen until I fight, you know? Like, but, like, the people I was coaching were going Wand in, like, the first 500 gold they got. Usually strength heroes lack damage, attack speed, or armor. Like, that's what they usually lack. In Lifestealer's case, it's damage, so I went this item first. The point is, though, that I want your items to have purpose to you. I know, since you've obviously played Dota a long enough time because you're a 4K support player, that you can think about it this way. Like, that's what supporting really is like conceptually grasping Dota. Like, that's what you have to do to gain MMR as a support player. So my goal for you is, if you're going to play carry, I want you to understand, like, at least a basic level, you know, this is what Wraith Band gives this hero. This is what Wand gives this hero. This is what boots give this hero. You know, are boots just a walk from camp to camp faster item? Is it a kill threat item like it would be on Jugg or Ursa? Is it a survivability item if you're against, like, a heavy slow lane or something? You know, what are you against? Like, if I'm against an Ursa, I might buy boots defensively. If I'm like an offlaner. The point is that every game, an item represents something different to my hero. What problems am I having? How am I playing the lane? What's going on in this matchup? Buy items accordingly. So this item says I'm going to click the guy a lot. You are not clicking the guy a lot. Why am I buying 2 of them? That's like a perfect example of, I know I just harped on that like 3 times now, but that's like, you know, what just happened? Great. Like, we got some kills. That's all I'm saying. It always makes me laugh when people ask, like in that Slark lane, why I didn't buy Wraith Bands. And it's like, did you see me hit that Quap more than twice? You know, it's like, she's a ranged hero that, you know, harasses me. And I'm a melee hero that if I'm going to hit her, I need boots. So I will buy boots to hit her if I want to hit her. Not Wraith Band. Okay, so you're trying to pull again. Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Let me think about this. How do I word this? This is actually a tough subject. I've learned this the hard way. This is how you should think about your actions, okay? If you do what you just did here, and Mars walked over at any point, what happens?
Because I used the spin? Yeah, I could be in danger if they actually...
You're a
went
level
on me.
6 Jugg, and he's a level 4 Mars. Let's keep that in mind, okay? So if you do this, and he comes over, what happens, right? He could maybe even kill you. He could take the creeps. He gets to free farm the lane because you're a level 6 Jugg with no health and not enough mana to ulti. So what I'm telling you is, you're doing something that's making a lane that you're really strong in actually punishable. Like, you're actually punishable doing this. So The way I usually avoid this, I actually will just show you. I actually can't do better than just showing you. We'll load your replay in a second. I can't really do this other than showing you. I think it was this game. If it's not this game, I'll try my best to describe it to you.
Dire's courier has been killed.
I think it's around 6 minutes in, so I'll fast forward.
Radiant's courier has been killed. Radiant's courier has been killed. Radiant's
He killed
courier
that guy.
has
Maybe
been
it's like
killed.
8 minutes.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
It wasn't this game. Damn it, I pulled up the wrong game. So, that sucks. I was hoping it was that game. Sorry, I obviously wasted about a minute or two there. So my question would be that why was what you did punishable?
Because I was low on health anyway, and I put myself below 200 mana for my ultimate.
Okay. And on top of that, why did you spin?
Because the enemy creep wave was coming in, so I wanted to clear this camp as fast as possible, so I could get onto the wave again.
A better question for you is why did you have to spin the creep camp?
Because my own creeps were dead, I think, or no, possibly they. I wasn't sure if they could see me, so I was like, okay, I want to get out of here.
This isn't complicated, not because I'm like being insulting. You had to spin the camp because there's fucking 9 creeps in it.
Yeah.
So the answer to all your problems is that camp should just never have 9 creeps in it.
Okay.
So like when you're winning as a carry, would you say that that big camp is like an advantage for you? Like if you're winning your lane, are you happy that that big camp is there?
Single or stacked?
Are you happy it exists?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why?
Because if the lane is pushed or the enemy creeps are dead, I could just farm it.
Okay, so that's exactly why. So the last thing that this big camp should be is a handicap, potential detriment, potential vulnerability of your laning stage when you are winning as a carry player. So what that means is, like right now while they're dead, you ask yourself what I'm doing in the near future. I see this big camp stack and I know I'm clearing it. And I also just used my healing ward. And is this healing ward going to be enough to pull me at full?
No.
No. So if I want to clear this camp, what's really my only option? If I'm asking you. Pull it, sure. Is that an option right now with the given lane, with the creeps are, by the time they're alive, with these creeps? Is that an option?
No.
So what is your option?
Spin it, so it's a 14-second cooldown, or...
Okay, so if you're going to spin it, what's going to happen to you?
Well, at the current stage, I'd be dead.
Well, okay, let's assume the healing ward lives its duration, and you look at your current health and mana, and you use spin. What's going to happen to you when you kill this camp?
I'm kind of a useless piece of shit.
And let's look at your health and mana afterwards. Right, so we're going to look at this situation.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So if I wanted to clear this camp and do it right, what did I have to do?
I don't know.
You used your abilities. You played the lane. What's the only option left that you can control in this game? Your items. What did I have to do to clear this camp?
Get regen.
I had to fly myself a salve and like 2 mangoes or some shit. Like, that's what I had to do. Otherwise, I just can't do this. I told my support player in my ARI coaching sessions, your job is to not be a useless piece of shit. When it comes to carry, if you're strong, your job is to not be a useless piece of shit. Right now, because of what you did, you are a useless piece of shit. And, like, I just can tell you that, like, this is just not acceptable. I've done it myself. I've learned this lesson. This isn't something I was, like, above learning. You just cannot be level 6 and he's level 4 and be a useless piece of shit. That just isn't an option. It is not an option. That is not okay. So the lecture I'm getting into here is every time you're doing something, you need to understand, like, what your job is as a carry. If you're level 6 and he's level 4, your job is to occupy this lane with strength. Like, that is your job. So anything you do, if it makes it not that case, either don't do it or buy the items and level the abilities that are required to do it. What I was trying to show you in the Lifestealer game was a lot of times when I'm, like, stacking a camp, if I'm winning the lane, I'll kill one of the smaller creeps first before I stack it. Like, I'll go over to stack it, and I'll go at, like, 48, and I'll kill, like, the medium creep, and then I'll pull it and stack it. Because what that does is, effectively, is making it so there's not 9 creeps in this camp at any point. I don't want 9 creeps in that camp. I don't want a triple stack, right? Unless I'm, like, a Bristleback or a Sven or, you know, some hero that very easily clears that camp. You know, Jugg can clear it, but it isn't, like, easy. You know, you're using a pretty good amount of mana. You're going to tank a decent amount of damage. Jugg and Lifestealer and Luna, these heroes actually kill stacks or, like, kill a lot of creeps by constantly attacking them. So it's like there were a lot of opportunities I could have shown you here where while you were pulling the camp, like while you were looking to stack it, that you could have just killed a small creep. Like that you could have just attacked a small creep 4 times. Like this one time when you pulled it right here, I'll even show you. Like, instead of aggressing on the Snapfire right here, I would have hit this creep. I would be hitting these creeps.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And if he walks any closer, then I'll go towards him. But, like, because you let these creeps just live, this one, this one, this one, you're stuck spinning the camp. So I'm giving you options for, like, avoiding having to spin the camp in the first place.
Would it have been valid to just let the camp deny my creep wave and be done with it? Just do nothing with the wave itself?
Does that sound good to you? You're a carry. Don't you want farm?
Yes, but if it makes me useless for another minute, I think I would rather wait.
Well, what I'm telling you is, can't you just attack these creeps right here?
Yeah.
While your creeps are tanking for you?
Yes, but I wasn't sure because the Snapfire saw me do the pull.
Okay, so was Snapfire stopping you from hitting these creeps right here?
No.
Then who gives a shit, whatever she's doing.
Okay.
Like, what I'm thinking is, I want to hit these creeps, I want to get this farm. It's just like when I talk to my players about, like, why they go for kills and why they be aggressive and all that kind of stuff. What's my objective? Is there somebody in the way? Right? Like, is there somebody stopping me? So, if this Snapfire is, like, sitting here, yeah, I have to keep in mind that she might nuke this creep camp. If she were to nuke these creeps, say they were low right now, what would you know about this Snapfire if she nuked from, like, right here?
She had vision.
Yeah, she has vision. That's great. I'll instantly deward that shit. Like, I do that all the time, actually, where I'll just see a support, like, nuke the big camp for no reason. I'm like, how the fuck did they... Well, deward, you know? Like I just know they have a ward. So, my point is, like, if he's not actually physically stopping you from hitting these creeps, there's no reason to not be hitting creeps. Anything that you're doing that's not hitting creeps is you consciously being inefficient, which is sometimes correct, right? That's fine. But I want you to think about it that way. Like, in this case, I would have 100% spent this time killing these creeps. I would have been hitting them. And if Snapfire walked closer, then I would run at her, because she's getting in my way.
Okay.
I like your idea, right? You're going for this, like, aggression play. Snapfire saw me pull. I don't want her contesting it. But she's not actually contesting it yet. So, you know, don't react according to the fact that she is. If she were to walk forward and then do it, then you might even kill her with what you just did. And the next step is that you said, could I have just left these creeps alone? There's several options, right? And what I mean by that is, I gave you my option. I think after you bullied the Snapfire, you could have still walked back and hit the creeps. You could have just not hit the creeps at all. Your way of not hitting the creeps at all or spinning it down so you have no health is because of these little inefficiencies you've been building up that I just mentioned, where earlier you never killed a single small creep. Right there, you went on the Snapfire rather than killing a small creep or two. In this case, you didn't have items to do the big camp. So it's like, this is a greedy play that you didn't have the items or resources to do. So in this case, because of all the other things you did, I think it was probably correct for you to have backed off and just let these creeps live. But I would then call that inefficiency, right? I would say, like, you should be able to clear this camp. You're just not, right? So right here, you do fly yourself a salve late. I would argue that you're going to need to use your ultimate. So I see you flying yourself a salve. What issue might I have with this?
That I didn't take a clarity along with it, or a mango.
I'd say a mango and a clarity, because you need mana right now, and then after you ult, you're going to need mana again. Would you disagree with that?
Nope.
No. So I would buy a mango and a clarity right now. This is stuff that it's like, as a carry player, I know you're new to the role, so I don't expect you to be like crisp on this kind of shit. I obviously don't. But this is the kind of like mindset that it takes to play carry efficiently. It's like, what am I going to be doing? What items do I need to do it? And I need to have these items before I do it. Like, I can't just reactively throw myself these items, right? Because you waiting to fly yourself a salve after you did that camp, now this is like 3 or 4 creeps that you're just waiting to get because you're too low health to get them, right? You don't feel good walking up. And it's like, it's crazy to think you don't feel good walking up when both these guys are level 4 and you're level 6.
Yeah.
And you only have 100 net worth on this guy, actually. So yeah, something to think about. So you walk back, farm the camp, reasonable. Get an iron book tree, GG. Oh. You really value 6 all stats over Iron Talon?
Usually not. I can't remember.
Are you aware that Iron Talon does 50% damage to ancient creeps?
Yes, I know.
Okay, that's just, that's I don't know how much this, that is 1,000 damage nuke on a 20-second cooldown for farming. Okay, so let's rewind here.
Yeah, I didn't watch. I should have watched my own creep wave to know that the creep wave was about to come in. I thought I got him solo there.
I had such plans.
Okay. How do I word this? So the average player would look at you going like, Keck W, Omni Slash. That's not the problem here. Like, I don't give a shit that you Omni Slashed. I give a shit that you even think you're supposed to Omni Slash here. You don't have mana to spin after you come out of your Omni Slash, and you're half health. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're trying to be aggressive when you have half mana, half health. That's my problem. Like, the fact that you're even thinking you can consider being aggressive here is like, whoa! He's crazy. He's on cocaine. Like, what's going on? This guy's crazy. This guy's nuts. Like, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, like, holy shit, you think you can be aggressive? Yikes. To me, like, from my perspective, like, that's how I look at this. I don't even give a shit that creep wave's there. That wasn't good even if the creep wave wasn't there. This is, like, the only time something could possibly go wrong. Even if you end up living, I don't even know if you do. Maybe you even get a kill. This is a perfect example where, like, anything you do here would have just been better if you had more mana and more health. Like, the whole situation would have just been better. If it doesn't work, it might have worked. If you die, you might have lived. If it does work, it 100% would have worked if you had the more health and mana. Yeah, these are just statistically low probability plays that you're making. Yeah, there's not much else to say about that. Okay. Okay. At this point in the game, what's your number one priority?
Getting farm.
What kills this camp faster? You hitting it or you pulling it and hitting it?
Pulling it and hitting it. Or do you mean because of the... I don't know. With the back. At least if I'm pulling and hitting it, I don't get hit. So I can go on to the next camp with more health.
Spoken like a true support player, man. You're a fucking Jugg. Level 6, almost level 7, man. Just hit the fucking creeps, bro. You know, like, you're actually pretty strong. You'll tank, like, you have 4.8 health regen, ignoring the tango. You know, you can tank some damage, you know. At this point, you're just doing the same thing with extra steps. You're just pulling the camp, rather than just hitting it. I would argue that obviously you have an Iron Talon, so you kill this camp, you kill the small camp, and then you go kill the Ancients. Like, that's how I would play this. A lot of Juggs nowadays, they're going treads. Do you know why?
To hit faster?
Yeah, they hit creeps more, and they can tread switch, so they can use their spells more. Obviously, tread switching goes up in value in terms of how much mana it gives you with the lower mana you have. So on Jugg, it's obviously super valuable. So all I'm saying is, you bought double Wraithband to hit people. You ain't hitting people. You bought Phase Boots to be aggressive. You're a farming hero. Do you see how all of this is like adding up to a whole lot of kaplooey? You know, just a lot of kaplooey, a lot of inefficiencies. I've also seen you try to Omni Slash a guy when you had 500 health. So these are the things as a carry that when you watch other players, it can be fast. Like, you don't have to watch too many replays to see this. Like, you will see it when you watch people practicing heroes. They will do what their resources allow them to do. If they're going to clear a stack or some shit, they'll fly themselves an extra salve. If they're going to utilize an ultimate like Jugg's ult, they're going to always have a clarity on them so that after they use it, they'll have that clarity. These are things where they're just fundamental that I don't expect you to know coming into the session, but I expect you to think about at all times following this session. That's what I would hope for. The way I look at it is, you pulling that camp makes it so the opponent can come contest it. Like, I would have just killed it so they can't see it. Like, they're busy dealing with creeps. I'm not, you know, notice how the Snapfire came over and contested it, so that's net negative there. Okay, so utilizing your quick buy option. Oh yeah, okay, you already had face. I was like, I'm pretty sure you had gold for face. Okay. I'm gonna teach you a lesson here. So, right now, if you were to walk at the Mars, what's like worst case scenario?
He spears me into something.
Then what?
Nothing.
Okay. Would you believe that Mars spearing you defensively is a small or large investment by the Mars?
I think he has a soul ring, doesn't he? So it's not that big of an investment.
I don't know, man. That's like a third of his fucking mana, bro.
Yeah, but still, with what's soul ring? 100 mana or something?
150, but it's also 170 health for him to use it. My point is, your mindset in general is the problem. Okay, so let's ask you again. So when he spears you, do you give a shit that he spears you here? Okay. I want to show you what a lane should look like. This is actually relevant to the game that I tried to load. When I ask myself if this guy like uses spells on me or hits me back, what happens? And the answer is just nothing bad for me. Let's fast forward to like 4 minutes here, I think. This is what the lane should look like.
In front of his tower.
No, like, no. Watch what I'm doing. Wait, here we go. Let's fast forward here. This guy walks up.
Mm-hmm.
I hit him. Hit him. In the last like 40 seconds I just showed you, I think I hit that guy 9 times. Something like that. Did you notice that? How many times I hit that guy?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of lower ranked carry players, They don't understand this concept that I've tried to instill in my coaching sessions. It's called just fucking hit the guy. That's the concept. It's actually a very advanced concept. When I say it's advanced, it's like it actually takes a lot of awareness of the situation to pull it off, like to actually do it correctly. When I play, like, I would say this concept is what defines Sumail and like no one as like the best mid laners that I have ever played against, because when you can't do anything to them, they know that at every moment in the game, and they're hitting me like nonstop. I've only landed against no one once, but I've landed against Sumail like 25 times, and he does it every fucking time. So it's like, my point is that these moments where I ask you, if that guy casts spells on you, what happens? And the answer is nothing. You should just walk at him. Just walk at him. Who cares? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, if he fights back, obviously you have acknowledged that he can't do anything to you. Force him to use spells on you. The point that I see when I watch a lot of players in your bracket or so is that they have these spells, like Spin and Omni Slash. And their aggression button is a defined switch where they're either spinning the guy and Omni Slashing him, or they're playing like a pussy the entire lane. Like, that's the two choices. There's nowhere in between. Like, and that's just not Dota, right? That's just not how it is. Like, you're allowed to just walk at people when they can't do stuff to you. I just did like a 3K coaching session mid like 2 weeks ago where the Kunkka just didn't walk at people. And I'm like, you literally lost this game because this alchemist is farming jungle, and you're not just walking at him. I'm like, what happens to this? What does this alch do to you if you walk at him? And he's like, walk away? And I'm like, so why are you not walking at him? You know, like, if you can just force him to walk away by existing, then he's going to walk away. It's like right here, you know, Mars is at no health. Like, I would check his mana. Okay, he's got full health, he's got full mana in terms of he's got a wand and everything. So the minute I get Spin, I'm going to force him to use this shit. If I do that 3 times, 4 times, suddenly this guy doesn't have mana anymore. Like, sometimes suddenly he can't spear to defend himself anymore. This like skill that I'm talking to you about is why in really tough lanes, offlaners at like the high level will just die at like 7 minutes because the carry's been doing this to them for like 4 minutes in a row, and eventually it's just too much. And as a carry, sometimes it happens. Like, it's the reverse. Whoever's stronger in lane, like, they're just abusing it at all times. So I'm not expecting you to have some like high level thinking here. I want you to ask yourself this question that I said of, if I walk at this guy, what is he gonna do, and do I give a shit? And if the answer is no, I don't give a shit, then just walk at him. Like, right now, just walk at that guy. Like, you should be postured like right here. You know, like, walk at him. Notice how you're like doing what I kind of want you to do, where you're denying the creeps every time they get low, but you're standing behind them. You know, you're posturing defensively. I want you aggressive. If you're posturing behind the creeps, you're implying to me you think you're scared of the other guy. Like, that's what you're telling me with your positioning. So it's not that I'm necessarily telling you you're wrong in any given scenario. I want you to know that if you're posturing like this, you're telling me you're scared. If you're posturing like this, you're telling me you're not. So I need that to reflect what you think of the situation in the game. So that requires you, first off, thinking to yourself, am I strong or am I scared? Why, you know, in general. Like, if Quap's missing, maybe you're scared of her being bottom and ganking you. And if that's the case, great. Like, if I came into a session and you were like, I'm like, why are you like this? You're like, I was actually scared of Quap. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, that's fine. Like, if you give me an exact reason why, that's great. But everything in the carry role, it's about being refined in like why you're doing what you're doing and buying the items for exact reasons. Like, am I farming? Am I fighting? Am I, you know? So Quap is here. Do you remember what I said about how your mindset is right now? Didn't I say that you're either a 0 on aggression or 100? That's what you are, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that 100% the case here? Like, why did you suddenly get ants in your pants and you want to kill this guy? Like, why? You know, like, what I mean is, like, why have you been posturing defensively and then suddenly you're like, let's get him, boys? You know, it's like, that's not how Dota works, right? It's like, you're stronger than this guy. You can imagine if you had hit him an extra 5 times throughout the course of the last, 2 minutes. Like, what if you just hit him an extra 5 times? He dies here. Like, 100%. Maybe you don't even have to Omni-Slash him. The point is that aggression is not just something that happens. It's something that's been set up by constant aggression, that's constantly forcing them to be weaker, constantly making them use resources to defend themselves. And then eventually, they run out of them, and they die. Like, eventually, they just can't do it anymore. It is not I sit passively farming, suddenly I want to kill people. Like, that's just not... That works once you have, like, 5 items. You know? Like, I farmed 5 items, now I go kill people. Like, that's the only way that approach works. So, the way you're you just need a shift in mindset. I don't really have a better description for you there. We definitely just need you to have a shift in mindset of what it means to be properly aggressive. And as a support player, I never expect people to understand initially what it means to be aggressive correctly. Because as support, you're usually forced to be playing more passively because you just have, less levels, less net worth. Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Okay.
In this case, I wanted to deny part of the wave to them. Remember that one.
Let's shift your mindset. Okay. I don't really have a better description for you than this, other than you just need to drop everything you think you know about efficiency and like decisions and just listen to me here. So, I'm not saying you're not doing that, but that's what I need. So, what creeps are you trying to farm at this very moment?
All of them.
Like, at this specific moment, what are the next creeps you're going to kill?
That lane wave.
Okay. Is Mars stopping you from killing the creeps if they're, like, right here? Quap's
He's
top.
at least chipping at my health.
Is he stopping you, though?
No.
Okay. You have this ability that heals you. So let's not give a shit about our health, okay? Like, you shouldn't have bought these tangos, by the way. You have healing word. But so, you have this ability that heals you, and you have full health. Like, pretty much. You're very healthy. So is this Mars stopping you from hitting these creeps?
Nope.
Why am I not hitting them? Why am I waiting for them to come all the way back here to hit them? Why am I waiting 10 seconds when I could have killed them when they're up here? And then...
Because I would have taken like 150 damage. But don't give a shit.
Okay, just being clear that, like, you're giving me a reason, but it isn't valid, right? Like, it's not... It doesn't apply. Like, utilize your resources to get creeps, right? Like, that's the point, is you buy items, you utilize abilities, you accept health damage in order to maximize efficiency. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to find these, like, equal trade-offs. It's like, if you want to kill that camp that's triple stacked, great. You know you're going to tank a salve worth of damage, buy that salve. You killed a triple stack, it's like, you still gained something out of it, but you had to, like, utilize... resources to get it. It's like, if you're sitting at half health with healing ward on cooldown, would your concern be valid?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, because that is a problem. But you're at full health with healing ward. So, worrying about your own health, who gives a shit? Like, the only thing you should be concerned about if going for any creeps right now is what? What should you be concerned about? In general. It's just dying, right? Like, that's the only concern that should stop you. So unless you're actually afraid of dying when you're full health with healing ward, who gives a shit? Like, whatever damage you're going to take. As long as you're not going to die. As long as you're not dying. So then I say, nobody's stopping you from getting those creeps. Great. After you kill this, is anybody stopping you from hitting these creeps right now?
Nope.
Why are you not hitting them? I am not telling you, like, that you should have retroactively fixed this. I am telling you that this needs to be a drastic shift in your own mindset, that as a carry, my goal is to hit creeps. The only time I'm aggressive is when it's convenient for me because there's creeps there and I want to hit them as well, or the opponent's getting in my fucking way of hitting creeps. That's, like, the only reason I'm aggressive. It's like, earlier when I told you to just walk at the Mars, the lane was, like, right here. Those are the creeps you were farming. and you were strong. So you can like walk at the Mars as you're farming them. It's like in my Lifestealer game, I wasn't missing creeps to attack the Night Stalker. The creeps were right there. Like, those are the creeps I'm trying to kill. And I'm like, oh, I'm really strong. I can walk at this guy. Every time I see you walking at this guy in the last, like, minute or two, you're just not hitting the creeps that are there to hit, right? I think you could have killed this wave at 12:24. Right.
So should I just auto-attack it down?
Yeah, you should literally kill it as fast as humanly possible. If you think you'll take, like, 400 damage for this creep wave, what's another option for you?
Okay. Fly the south. Or use
Well,
the
you have
ward.
healing wards, so you don't need to do that. Are you going to healing ward on top of this creep wave?
No.
So what's your option if you don't want to take 400 damage?
Wait until this creep wave and my creep wave.
How about you just spin this shit
meantime-
down? Why aren't you just
Okay.
spinning it? You have full mana. You have resources. Use them. You have full mana and a clarity. Like, if you're scared of how much damage you'll take while you're auto-attacking this shit, just spin it. Like, you have full mana. You have full of resources. My point is, like, there needs to be some, like, insurmountable reason why you can't kill these creeps. Like, there has to be some reason that you can't overcome. Like, no matter what you do, it is not solvable. So you may say, BSJ, I think I'll take 400 damage here. Or BSJ, I think, this is going to happen. Well, if you think that's what's going to happen, do any of your abilities address it? Like, do any of you, like in this case, yeah, spin. You just spin the creeps and walk away, right? Like, if he ends up spearing you, he's definitely not killing you full to zero. So it's like, at that point, maybe you'll have to healing ward yourself and back off. I'd rather you push your limits, right? I'd rather you see. Like, I personally wouldn't spin this because it's like such a defensive tool against Mars. I'd rather take 500 damage against Mars than spin and have him have a chance to ult me and kill me. Like, that's what I would rather do. Because at any point, if he tries to go on me, I can just, like, spin TP or spin healing ward and run away. So, all I'm saying is, when it comes down to these, like, specific scenarios, I want your mindset to be, I'm killing these fucking creeps. And there better be a specific reason why I can't. And if there's not, I'm fucking killing these creeps. So, like, I can't obviously address every possible scenario you're ever going to go through when it comes to killing these creeps. But as a carry, I'm like, these are the creeps I'm trying to kill. What's stopping me? Deal with it. If it's not stopping me, do it. Like, that's all there is to it. And that's the mindset. So it's like, right here, nothing's stopping you. Kill those fucking creeps. After you kill those creeps, nothing's stopping you from killing those creeps. Kill those fucking creeps. It's going to be 13 minutes. They're spawning again. Kill them again. Right? Like, what effectively is lost by you in this moment is a big camp. Right? Because you didn't kill the big camp before 13 minutes, and now there's just this one big camp. That's like an example of why like 3K players will be like, God, like, how do these carry players in the high bracket just have an extra 700 gold than I do? It's not some fancy trick. It's literally the sense of urgency to kill creeps at all times. So notice something about this. When I have this sense of urgency to kill creeps that are available to me, what that means is that why am I near this Mars in the first place? Like, why am I even here?
Because I didn't hit those creeps earlier.
The point is, the reason you're here is creeps. So the faster I kill these creeps, guess what that means for me?
I can go into the jungle.
The less time I spend near this guy, right? That's the less time I spend near this guy. That's the harder it is to gank me. That's the harder it is to coordinate a kill on me. Like, I can just walk away faster. I don't have to be here as long. Like, what the best carry players will do is they'll clear that wave as quickly as possible and just leave. Because you're the carry, you're level 9. The only way this guy ever outfarms you is by killing you. Like, that's the only way. Like, level 7 Mars is never going to outfarm you. You're level 9. So, all we're trying to do is avoid him killing me. And the faster I kill creeps, the shorter duration I have to spend in this lane. Like, I don't want to be here. It's not because I feel scared. I just want to go farm. I just want to go hit some creeps. So, all the time that you've been, like, kind of lollygagging about not killing creeps, you're just giving him that extra amount of time to potentially do this. That's how I look at it. So, shift in mindset there, really important. This point in the game, I think if you want to understand Jugg, you can I think it would be best for you to watch one or two Jugg replays. So now,
is under attack.
When it comes to jungling, have you heard my lecturing on jungling? When do we jungle?
No idea. So in this case, I didn't want to TP to the lane, so instead I went the...
You are absolutely correct, sir. You were not supposed to TP bottom. So...
I think I go from here to the mid and then to the top. Not sure, though.
Okay, so the answer is you jungle... Is jungling passive or aggressive farming?
Passive.
Okay. So when it comes to farming, your farming needs to be as aggressive as possible. There are some games where you're a drow, they can kill you anytime they see you and they want to look at you, so you have to play super passively. Is that the case in this game? Are you a scared little drow that dies to everything?
They have no instant stun, so
okay.
No, I'm not scared of them.
So if you're going to jungle, I'm just going to tell you, because to make sure we get to maybe one more game in this coaching session here, there needs to be no fucking lane for you to go to. There needs to be no other option. Absolutely no other option. Right? So you were correct to not go bottom. What should you... If you're not going to go bottom, like if you want to go bottom, you could walk. That's fine. What should you be looking at right now? Like player
Radiant's
perspective. What should you be looking
is
at?
under attack.
So top is kind of a fight. I don't know if I would want to join or I could just take middle.
How do you know, though?
No one's there.
How do you know you don't
If
want
I
to
wanted
join
to join?
Yeah.
I didn't...
I think you would have to do this.
It's a Spectre and a Lich. They are very passive. And I know that my team is a lot more aggressive with the Centaur and the Lion and the Invoker there. So I suspected that either they get them and kill them or I could be of no help.
Okay.
I really didn't think I could help there.
Okay.
Even if I joined.
So the point that I'm trying to give you is, I asked you how you know, and the problem with you right now is that your player perspective is on a jungle camp you can't even see. Your player perspective tells me a lot about what you're thinking about in game. It tells me so much, because if you care about something, you're gonna look at it. That's like all there is to it. So it's like, I would look bottom and I see, okay, Wyvern soaking some XP, creep waves in tower, Quap's mid, she might push it, I need to be ready if she pushes it, and top lane, they're getting dove, I don't really need to be here, my Invoker's fine. Like, that's what I would see if I look here. Like, that's, I'm like, oh yeah, they don't really need my help. But the most notably is, I don't need to be bottom, I don't need to be top, so what lane is left?
Yeah.
Mid, right? So, I need to farm this lane if it's pushed into my tower. That's all there is to it. It is so game ruining in my bracket, people still do this shit, to just let creeps die to your tower. Like, that's literally throwing away 200 gold and 200 XP. Like, you're just chucking it into the dumpster. You're just like, hey, I don't give a shit about this. It doesn't exist to me. Like, that's what you're doing, right? Lane creeps are just more efficient than jungle creeps, and they also do damage to your towers, and they also supply the enemy with information. Like, that nobody in your team is mid lane. Like, that's what it's telling them. So, that's what I'm thinking as I'm walking out of base. And this is unacceptable.
Radiant's middle tower is under
This,
attack.
to me, makes my eyes bleed when it's in my games. Like, I actually just get so sad when I see this shit. Especially when I see this shit. Like, that's when I get really angry. Like, when you hear me bitching at my carry players to not AFK farm, this is exactly what they're doing. I'm not telling them not to farm. I'm telling them to stop sitting in the jungle when there's a creep wave that just did like 200 damage to my mid tower and is dying underneath the tower. Because what happens is you clear this mid wave, maybe then you clear this medium camp, then you clear this wave with a spin because it's the most dangerous of the farm, and then suddenly you've created pressure on this mid tower. Suddenly you see 3 heroes here, you see 2 heroes here, what are you doing?
Pushing.
You're just killing the tower for free. Do you know how often in your bracket people are just going to let you kill mid tower for free? Like,
quite often.
Quite often. In my bracket, it's like very rarely. Like, I can tell people are bad instantly if they let me kill this tower. Like, I know they're bad. So it's like, my point is that this is AFK farming. This is not AFK farming. AFK farming, not AFK farming. You're gonna TP bottom.
Yeah, the Wyvern was on.
Okay. So, I talk about this a lot. When we AFK farm, and a fight breaks out, we leave ourselves with a choice. We leave ourselves with the choice to join the fight or to hit a neutral camp. What are we often going to choose?
It depends if we can actually have an input in the fight.
No. We are going to choose to join because almost every carry player in the back of their mind is like, clearing this medium camp is not as important as potentially killing this guy. That's what we're going to do. It doesn't always work that way, but that's what's going to happen. Either way, you've set yourself with this choice to clear a medium camp or to join this fight. Both of which, you're a farming hero going Battle Fury. None of those sound great. None of those are great. However, if we were properly farming aggressively and we had already cleared this wave and we see a fight breaking out here and a fight breaking out here, our choice is to join the fight or kill a tower for free. Which one are we going to choose?
Okay.
Right?
Just let the support die.
Yeah, just let the support die and kill a tower for free. The point is that these awkward decisions you get to join fights or not are caused by just terrible farming patterns. Like, people do this all the time. Even in my bracket, they do this. If you are efficient with your farming patterns, your decision will always be easy. It'll always be easy. It's not necessarily... The times where decisions get hard is when I'm playing against really good players that are all like 8.5k and above, like better than me players, and their efficiency decisions are faster or as good as mine, so that suddenly the calls are really close. But anytime I'm playing against players that are worse than me, like even just 1,000 MMR lower, a lot of it has to do with my decisions are just faster than theirs. So every time I'm making a decision to show up to a fight or not, it's usually pretty clear to me. Like, I'm very, like, it feels very straightforward whether or not I'm supposed to show up to fights. Not until I'm playing against all players that are as good or better than me do I really feel pressured to make a decision. Like, that's when it really starts, because, like, the game is just so much faster, and the decision I had to take, like, a second to make it rather than 5. You know, it becomes very hard. So for you, I need you to think about lanes this way. I need you to always think about lanes this way. And I have a lot of coaching sessions on this, and you spent a lot of money on this, so I want you to, if you're willing to spend the time investment, to watch my other carry coaching sessions, because I harp on this lane shit all the time. It's like, I guarantee anybody who watches my content regularly or even tunes into these coaching sessions live, they hear me harping on laning over jungling like 80% of these sessions, because your decisions just become super weird. Like, this doesn't feel good at all. Like, this isn't what I want. Like, yeah, you get a kill, but it's like, would you rather get a kill on Mars, or would you rather get a mid tower while you're hitting creeps? You know, it's like, I'd rather just be hitting creeps and get a mid tower. So the only time I'm showing up to fights is when there's absolutely nothing else for me to be doing right now. And that situation will happen very rarely. And since it happens very rarely, the decision also becomes very obvious. Meaning, like, oh, wow, there's actually nothing for me to do right now. I guess I'll show up, you know? Like, sometimes it's like I've cleared every camp. Sometimes I've already killed the tower. Whatever. So yeah, we've already talked about, at least a lot of my sessions, that I don't want to be on this part of the map ever. If I don't have to be, meaning if there's somewhere else for me to be, I would choose that. I see 2 heroes bottom. I'm farming a medium camp over clearing mid. This is the definition of AFK farming. This is the definition of unacceptable farming. The mid tower does actually die to Invoker. That tower gonna die to like fucking 13 minutes into the game, honestly. Could have died very fast. So we show up, rotate top, reasonable. Working on a Battle Fury, still don't have a TP though.
Yeah, and I forgot about that, and I want to spin TP, and I was like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, that, let's see here. So...
Dire's top tower, Dire's are fortified. Radiant's middle tower, Radiant's structures are fortified. Radiant's middle tower has been denied. Nothing under that.
Okay, so you used Omni Slash. My question is, are you wanting to fight them right now?
Not really.
Okay.
I would much rather prefer to finish the item.
Okay. So, when you see 2 heroes top, especially their Quap, like that's effectively, you know, a lot of heroes top, because Spectre can be there at any point, and Quap is their mid hero, so she's very strong. Is there anything on the map that looks more appealing to you right now?
Mid lane.
Okay. So
Or
this
triangle.
is
Mid
this
lane.
is emphasizing the importance of having a teleport scroll, because I force rotations top. I'm not in fighting mode, and I'm like, oh, there's something else I could be doing right now. So after I clear that mid wave, where am I probably going?
Yeah, TP middle.
I TP middle, but then after I clear that wave, where am I going?
Bottom.
Probably back to top, because that's...
Depends if they're still there.
Okay, I guess so. If they were like 4-man pushing, you might go bottom. But usually they're not just going to sit there. They might sit there. So I guess at that point it does depend on what they're doing. So notice how in lane I asked you, if this guy uses spells on you, what do you care? And that was your way of assessing, what I'm doing in lane. Am I posturing aggressive? Am I playing defensive? It's the same thing here, but it's about fighting. Do I want to fight them? So when I'm farming and I'm forcing objectives, what I mean by that is like you're pressuring mid, you're pressuring top. If I'm doing that, every time I'm doing it, I just have to ask myself, am I doing this to force a reaction, or am I doing this to actually fight them? And if the answer is to force a reaction and they show up, what do?
Piss off.
I piss off. If I want to fight them and they show up, I kill them, right? Like, those are the two choices. And then on every hero, you have to, like, kind of, decide, on based on your levels, your cooldowns, your items. Do I feel like fighting right now? And anywhere in between is just bad, right? Like, it's just bad. If you're not immediately punishing them for grouping up behind their tower, then there's no point in forcing them to be there in the first place. Like, the whole point of forcing them to be at their own safe lane tower is because instead of hitting creeps, they're at their own safe lane tower. Like, that's the point.
Yeah.
So that's the key to understanding. I basically am realizing for you, with all due respect, that you definitely have the mindset of a support. And I need you to do your best to just drop it. If your friends are telling you need to play carry, you're going to have a drastic shift in mindset when it comes to playing your own game, really thinking about yourself and your own capabilities and your own status. So what I mean by that is, if you are capable of fucking farming a lane, farm it. If you're incapable of farming a lane, don't farm it. Like, don't risk yourself in order to push out a wave if you think you're going to die for it. But then at the same time, when I tell you to be very selfish, very greedy, that doesn't mean farming jungle instead of farming a creep wave that you are perfectly capable of farming, right? Like, if you're capable of farming more aggressively, then you do it. That's, like, the selfless part of being a carry. Like,
so basically taking the most annoying farm for them while still being safe.
yes, exactly. In every game, you need to, like, as you're getting better and better at the game, you need to be, what will happen is you'll become better and better at understanding exactly where that line is. Okay? So, like, how far can I go? And honestly, I don't care if you die as long as you consciously decided, I think I can play this far up. And then if you die, be like, why was I wrong? Did I need a TP? Did I, need a hero behind me? Did I need, what did I need? Maybe I just was too far out of position. Maybe I just should have been farther back. The point is, if you consciously decide that, every time you die or every time something goes wrong, you can learn from it. And go ahead.
This goes to one of the questions I wrote down earlier.
Okay.
When should I get a? So if I say I want to push their safe lane, and I don't know when they will react, with how many people they will react, when should I get a ward?
When should you get a ward?
When should I get a ward as a carry to protect myself?
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to be very clear. Having a TP on you is way more important than getting your Battle Fury 90 gold earlier. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So I'm pretty sure that was your mindset.
No, I didn't notice it. Sorry.
You were walking out of base and you didn't notice having no TP?
Yes.
Okay, well, you should always consider TPing out of base in the first place. Go ahead.
After 10 minutes or so, I only TP out of base if there's a battle going on. Otherwise, I just walk.
Okay, so the point is though that that's actually a good habit, but when I respawn, I'm always considering whether or not I have to TP out of base. So if I'm always considering it, I'll never forget to have a TP.
Yeah.
So these are all fundamental things that you're not going to get in the habit of if you haven't played carry before. So to be clear to everyone, watching, I understand these mistakes you're making, but what you need to understand is that these mistakes are just percentage-based plays. Like top there, if you see 3 heroes there and you have a TP, you'll just TP mid and get out. When you chose to go bottom to help Wyvern, if you had just been pushing the lane properly, you would have pushed the tower instead of showing up to that creep or showing up to that fight bottom. All of your decisions are just awkward because you're not doing fundamental things that it takes to be a good carry. Like, that's all it takes. Like, that's what you're missing, is these fundamentals that it takes to be a carry. So these are things where you need to go into a game with one of these mindsets every game. And just play 5 games of the same hero with this mindset every time. I talked about the laning efficiencies when it came to Jugg and, like, clearing the big camp and, like, clearing the waves and then clearing the big camp. And then I talked about, like, pushing waves that could be farmed. I talked about, like, if you forced reactions, am I fighting or not? These are all things that you should work on one at a time across as many games as it takes for you to feel like they're ingrained in the back of your mind. If that's 30 games, so be it. If it's 5, great, The minute that you'll never make this mistake again without consciously thinking about it, what I mean is you're sometimes going to make a conscious decision and mess up. That's fine. You don't need to master these decisions. You need to master having them be decided, like having it be an actual thought that goes through your head. So, that's what it's all about. So, the session these games did go a bit longer than expected. I'm going to go about 10 more minutes. So if you have another game you'd like me to watch, that's fine. Otherwise, we can finish this game up and continue talking about it. So how would you like to spend the last 10 minutes? This game?
This game is fine.
Okay.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Also, I've got a basically really general question regarding the itemization of... So if I play support, I have a way better understanding of how to itemize. I identify, do they have burst? Do they have single target damage? Which one of theirs is the danger? So for a support, I think for me personally, it's a lot easier to decide which item to go for. Whereas with the carry, how do you make decisions with the carry? Which item should I go for? How much is it?
No, it's fine, dude. I'm going to interrupt you
it's-
just to make sure we get enough time out of this. It's fine. Yeah, I understand what you're asking. So, why do you think you understand itemizing as support better?
Because I understand what my carry wants to do. So he wants to hit people, and it's way easier for me to understand which enemy stops him from doing that.
Anyone
Okay.
here know what a
And
dread lane is?
So,
How
my
does
answer
this
for
stop
you
us?
is you've played a lot of
Educational
support.
Stream Dota 2 community
It's not
has.
complicated. You've played a
Keep
lot
up
of
the good
support.
work, bro.
You've had to think about what it
Greetings
means to be a
from
support
Poland.
player. You have the mindset of a support player. So what happens is you're going to naturally itemize because you understand the mindset of being a support player. So my answer for you is right now, you are heaps and bounds away from worrying about itemization. I think itemization for you is going to be crippling because itemization is about situational awareness and understanding your role as a hero and then relating that to the situation you're in and then buying the right items to address your own problems. So what I mean by this is, like, as support, if you're playing efficiently, you'll have the right wards up, you'll be sitting behind the right guy and all that kind of shit, and then you're going to buy the items that you need to do that properly because you're like, this guy's going to have this issue, I'm going to sit behind him, and I need this item to help him. As a carry, it requires you playing the map properly, otherwise it just doesn't fucking matter what items you have. It just doesn't matter, because if you're not playing the map properly, the items you're trying to figure out for yourself are actually going to be wrong, because you're trying to address a situation that shouldn't exist. Do you see what I'm saying here? It's kind of like if you're playing out of position on support and you're trying to learn to itemize. It's like you're not going to learn to itemize correctly because you're playing support incorrectly. So my advice to someone like you in your situation is, in your bracket, it's perfectly acceptable to even pick a non-meta hero, like 3rd, 4th pick, like Jugg, and just spam the shit out of them. Like, it really is acceptable. What I mean by that is, in my bracket, if I pick Jugg every game third, I'm probably going to lose like 80% of my games because he's not meta and people know exactly how to punish it, and they're going to pick heroes that punish it, and I'm going to lose really hard matchups. In your case, people are not going to do that. Like, they're just not. So, you need to pick like 1 or 2 heroes, and you need to spam them. Like, whatever, but like out of the whole hero pool you have, I think Jugg, Luna would be perfect examples. And you need to go into your games copy-pasting an item build. So on Jugg, I gave this build to somebody else. I would say Battle Fury, Manta, Shadowblade, Abyssal, or Abyssal Shadowblade into like Butterfly or Scotty. Maybe an Ags. Like, you know, at that point, there's like a few options. But if you don't go, you know, Battle Fury, Manta, I would say Wraithband, Wand, Battle Fury, Manta.
Power Treads?
Yeah, Treads, sorry. Treads, Battle Fury, Manta, Basher, Shadow. Any order of Basher, Shadowblade, Abyssal, Abyssal, Shadowblade, you know, any of those orders, like whatever, those 2 items. And then, you know, Scotty or Butterfly, whatever you think is better that game. If you go those items every single game, that's going to remove one concern from you. Because I think right now you're new to this role and you're overwhelmed. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, you feel like you know so much about Dota because you've been playing support, and then you're playing this role you've never played before, and it's like, you're like, I know I should know this shit, and I just don't. And I'm like, I get you, man, I get you. So, let's eliminate some variables. Buy the same damn items every game. I'm going to ask you right now, I really hope you answer this question correctly. What's my issue right now?
Yeah, the mid-wave.
Okay. So, let's just make sure you're in this mindset. There's a wave to clear, you fucking clear it, okay? So, maybe you think to yourself, but BSJ, if I clear that wave right now, I'm going to miss this camp. So, if you choose this camp over the wave, that's an efficiency play that sacrifices pressure for efficiency. That's sometimes okay, right? Like, that's sometimes okay. But after you clear this camp, where should you immediately go? Midwave, right? And that should be a no-brainer, right? That should really be a no-brainer. Every time you're doing something past, like, the 10-minute mark, you need to address what creep wave, like, what lane you think you will farm next if there is a wave to farm. So what I mean is, at like 10 minutes, if I think I'm still safe to be in my own safe lane, but I don't really want to be there, meaning like I'd rather be hitting jungle creeps, if I still feel safe to be there though, I'll think to myself, the next creep wave I'll farm will probably be bottom. So every time I'm farming neutrals, it's with this mindset of, do I ever need to defend bottom? Do I have, like, is there a good time to rotate there? If they show 4 heroes top, I'm immediately walking to that bottom wave, right? And that's a way of like creating pressure, making sure you're farming the right parts of the map. So in this case, every time you're farming a jungle camp, every time you're walking anywhere, just ask yourself, what's the wave I'm going to farm next? What is it? Is it top? Is it mid? Is it bottom? Whatever it is, the second that wave becomes efficient or perfectly safe for you, which in a lot of times this game it has been, you just need to go clear it, right? So when it comes to this decision between this camp right now and the wave, I would argue the best play would be to either kill this camp right now and then go to the wave. If you're a hero that kills the camp slower, maybe you hit it down until 53, and then you stack the camp on your way to clearing mid, and then you come back and kill the stack. Like, that's another option. That's something else you can consider. So I'm just telling you, like, that's another option. But I really need you in this mindset of wave. Like, right now, this mid-wave is a travesty. Like, this is an absolute travesty. What's going on here right now? I will tell you, this decision right here becomes way fucking easier if this mid-wave's at their tier 2. This decision becomes so easy. I can't actually paint a picture for exactly why. It's just so much easier. And I actually have Airy coaching sessions that he's 1K, okay? And the beautiful thing that I've realized about Dota is the concepts that apply to 1K players are the exact same concepts that apply to like 5, 6K players. It's just like 5, 6K players, they obviously can learn a more advanced version of those concepts. You, as a support player, should actually understand how important creep wave pushing is. I guarantee you, your limitation as a support player, being 4K, was that you did not clear waves that you were supposed to clear. Like, I guarantee you, it was a big part of your problem. Because the thing that's beautiful for me when I've gone to other roles is I've realized these core-centric parts of Dota, like these fundamental things that just apply every single game. And if I understand those things, it doesn't matter if I'm playing core or if I'm playing support. I'll do those things pretty well. The things that I don't do well when I play support are things that I don't have to worry about when I'm playing core. Like warding, you know? Like, I don't know that very well because I don't do that regularly. But when it comes to, like, understanding wave clearing and all that kind of shit, that should be understood by every player in the game. It really should. It doesn't matter what role you are. So as a support, when you say you're warding, right? Like, I'll just segue this really quick. As a support, my point of that was actually, I think you could benefit a lot from listening to my discussions with Ari about playing the map and pushing waves and shit. I think it would help you a lot. Because as a carry player, you usually are supposed to do what I'm telling him he can look to do. So you might want to check that out, depending on how much time and effort you're willing to put into it. So
I watched the first 2 sessions so far.
Okay, so you heard me talking about how important pushing mid and top were, right?
Yes.
And then you watch your own gameplay. That's the gap, that's the lapse we're trying to get rid of, right? So if you've watched them, great. Like, that's, like, you actually heard me preach this shit. Now just put it into practice. You need to have a little sticky note that, like, past the 15-minute mark, if mid and top are not pushed, I'm doing something wrong. Right? Like, it just has to be pushed. If I'm Radiant, it's mid and top. If I'm Dire, it's bottom and mid. Like, all I'm going to harp on you right now in terms of efficiency is the fact that mid wave is just walking into your tier 2 with, like, 9 creeps right now. This fight can wait. You're a Battle Fury hero. Hit some fucking creeps, and if there's no creeps left to hit, go join a fight. Like, that's Battle Fury heroes for you.
Yes, makes sense.
So that's the beauty of it. So when it comes to warding as a carry, if I want to play a specific area, if I've decided this is the lane I want to go to, sometimes I will actually place a sentry to de-ward an enemy vision. Like, say it's like 10 minutes in, and I'm thinking the place I want to farm is like right here, and then rotate to mid if I ever need to. I might consider buying a sentry to place it here. Because if the opponent sees me doing this and I know I'll die because they see me, I might buy a sentry and place it here. On the other hand, I might just ward right here. Because that's like the spot I want to see because I'm farming these 2 camps in mid, right? I want to see this spot. So, as a carry, when it comes to warding, if there's a place, like if you've decided this is where I'm going to farm, if there's a spot that helps you farm that safer, then ward it. It's free, right?
Yes.
It's absolutely free. So, like, early on, if I'm a carry and I see a support nuke my freaking big camp, that's the spot I want to farm. I don't want the opponent having vision on that shit. I'll de-ward it. Like, I don't want to see it. Like, you as a support player should understand de-warding pretty well. You know? Like, just because you're a carry, you're going to be focused on a lot of other things. You're going to be distracted. You're going to have a lot of buttons to press. I get that. But at the same time, we can eventually get your fundamentals from supporting to actually kind of carry over to being a carry player. So, these are the major things. So I see you warding at this guy, and I would want to look at your next 30 Jugg games. If you're Radiant, the cool thing about your bracket is the majority of the time people aren't going to be coordinated. The majority of the time they're not going to be able to like 3 or 4 man gank a Juggernaut type hero. Heroes like Jugg, Ricky, Slark, these heroes with like evasive abilities, survivability tools, are often like 10 times better at lower brackets than they are at higher brackets, simply because at lower brackets nobody actually coordinates to kill you. Like, it actually takes 3 or 4 heroes coordinating to kill you. So my point is, every time you join a fight, top and mid are pushed. Every time you join a fight, bottom and mid are pushed if you're Dire. Like, those are things that should happen every single game. Like, I eventually, there may be a few exceptions to this, right? Eventually. But those exceptions don't start mattering until a long time from now, and You will just farm more efficiently with this mindset. You're not going to be like, do I need to show up to this fight? I asked you earlier in the laning stage, at what points were you supposed to be aggressive on Mars and Snapfire? In the laning stage.
Basically, if I could hit them while they can't punish me, and if I'm just strong enough to take them.
Okay, but what were they doing in
anything.
relevance to you that I told you to be aggressive on them? Weren't they getting in the way of creeps you were supposed to hit?
Oh, yeah.
That's all there is to it. You're a carry? What creeps do I want to hit? Is somebody getting in my fucking way? If nobody's in my way, hit the damn creeps. Like, who gives a shit about heroes at that point? The beautiful thing about your bracket is people don't actually try to get in your way. They just let you hit creeps. That's the beauty of it. The only time you have to fight as a carry that buys a Battle Fury is when there's creeps that you want to hit and you can't hit them because there's people in the way. On the opposite side, while you're hitting creeps, please farm as aggressively as possible. That was what I harped on that Kunkka for. He's like, I want to be hitting creeps, but then he's against Alk. So I'm like, if you're passively hitting creeps, both of you, who wins from that? And he's like, Alk. And I'm like, well, then why are you passively hitting creeps? You need to, like, aggressively be hitting creeps, you know? So when it comes down to, like, unique matchups and understanding your role in the game, that's when we can start, like, worrying about itemization and exactly how to do your job perfectly. But in this case, I need you to actually do your job first, right? Like, I actually need you to be clearing camps, clearing waves as fast as humanly possible. That's what it takes on carry roll to get to about 4K. Like, I would say 4K equivalent in carry are people that mindlessly clear waves and camps as fast as possible. That's, like, actually what it takes. Eventually, I think you could even get past 4K if you're doing it really efficiently with the idea of the dead lane. Like, if you understand that at a basic level, you'll be better than most 4K players. Like, I'm pretty confident in that. Because most of them do mindlessly hit creeps as fast as they possibly can. But they're definitely doing it faster than you. That's why they're 4K and, you know, you're equivalent of about 2.5K carry player. So, from this session, I definitely implore you to watch it back and take in these core concepts one at a time. You have the mindset of a support player, and you need to do your best to kind of just drop everything you know about playing support for now. Like, because you can eventually reapply it, meaning, like, eventually it will pay off for you all the times you've spent playing support. But for now, you need to think, creeps, where are they? How do I get to them? Get creative, you know, do I have to spend abilities? Do I have to spend mana? Is there a hero blocking me? If not, creeps, right? Like, that's what carry playing is.
Even if the enemy carry is so much harder than me, so the Spectre will out-carry me.
So if you're hitting creeps, what did I tell you? If the opponent has a superior farmer to you and you're hitting creeps, what does that mean? What do you have to be doing while you're hitting
Offensive
creeps? Offensively hitting creeps. So what that usually means is just hit creeps as far up in the map as you possibly can. And what that will do is effectively shut down their farm. Like, because you're taking farm away from the opponent. Because you're in their face. It's like, after you clear mid here, if you're strong enough to walk here, that's a big deal to walk here instead of walking here. Right? Because this is camps that the opponent wants to farm, while these are camps that they're not going to farm at all. So you're actually getting, like, twice as much effective net worth by taking these camps as you are by taking these, because you're also taking them from the opponent. So a lot of people, they have this really terrible idea of the opponent outcarries me, I need to fight them and force the issue. No, just farm where they want to farm. Like, just take their farm. Like, that's all that you do. So it's like, if you're Jugg against Spectre, maybe this hero outcarries you, but if you have 6 slots at 35 and he's 3 slotted, he's not going to outcarry you. Like, outcarry implies you're both on the same amount of net worth and it's 40 minutes in the game. He's going to be better than you. But if you have, you know, Battle Fury Manta at 22 minutes because you absolutely free farmed, and then suddenly you have Abyssal Silver Edge at 33 minutes into the game, you think this guy's outcarrying you?
Yeah, no.
No, he's not, right? Like, so all it means is that you're playing super aggressive and you're limiting, or super efficient, and you're limiting their farm as much as you possibly can. Sometimes you can't. Like, sometimes you can't limit their farm. But yeah, so that's the point, is all of these decisions to use Omni Slash and shit, they should come naturally. Like, you should be killing every creep And then after the creeps are dead, you can be like, oh, now where do I go? You know, like, what creeps do I kill? Or, like, what heroes do I kill now that I've killed all these creeps? So you've seen the area coaching sessions. You've seen the natural order of objectives that I talked about.
Yes.
That should be your mindset while you're farming. And then all you have to ask yourself is, how aggressively can I play while I'm doing that? If I'm playing top lane and top jungle, can I farm the creep wave when it's all the way out here? Or do I have to wait till it's right here? That's like the only decision you actually have to make at that point. Because if you farm it while it's here, maybe you can pressure the tower. If you farm it while it's here, you're going to kill the wave and then kill this and then kill this and then kill this and then kill this, right? And then you're going to walk back and do it again, right? So yeah, do you have any final questions before we wrap this one up? I know it's been a lot to ingest as a support player.
Yeah, I think that's it. No, I think I'm good. So basically, it's just be more focused on creeps. Don't care about the team. Just hit them and push.
Your contribution to the team is by clearing creeps aggressively. That is your contribution. And it actually is a very important contribution. When I'm an offlane player and I'm making space and I see my carry player taking a mid tower for free, man, does that feel good. Like, or my carry player taking a mid tower for free, it's like, wow, I'm doing something with my time as an offlaner. When I'm offlane and I see my carry neutraling with no point, I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm not doing anything. So just to be very clear that it is a selfish approach that actually helps the team a lot. So if that makes you feel any better about playing support that way. Or playing carry that way. Thanks for signing up, dude. Best of luck in the
Thank you.
and have a good one.
Goodbye.